Hello everybody, welcome to Tequila Chats. You guys have been watching the whole series and you know that I have some great guests, but today you really are some of my favorite people in the entire world. And so thank you very much for being here, the two of you. I'm so excited to have this conversation. If you haven't met them yet, you need to really pay attention to the world. We have Hillary, Danny Hertzberg. Thank you very much again for being part of this conversation today. The two of them are part of a dynasty in real estate. That's a good way of describing it, I think, right?
Also a pleasure, honor to be here, and mutual respect and admiration.
Let's give a little bit of praise to you.
Give us a chance.
No, we don't have to do that. But you really are part of an incredible dynasty in real estate with your mom. You know, it's two generations, three families.
Exactly.
Which is really incredible, right? It's like the longevity of the business is really incredible, and you guys have really taken upon yourselves to build and to continue that legacy that the original founders of the group created, and so it's really impressive. So again, for the third time, thank you for being here. If you have not been familiar with the entire context of Tequila Chats, what we are trying to do here is kind of like learn from very successful people as to how that business was built. I think, and I mentioned it to you before, we're really good at putting out there the shiny part of our lives, of our business, which is great because it serves for inspiration to those of us that are watching each other. That inspiration comes into play. But I do think that the real lessons come from the hard work, right? And sometimes the challenges, sometimes there are failures, sometimes there are just difficulties. And that's where the real juicy part of building a business happens. And so that's what I would like this conversation to be about. Another part that is important to me is this notion of where you come from, your origin story, right? Where you come from really kind of like informs what you do with your life and what you do with your choices in terms of your business. And so if we could start at that point, and if you could share, guys, kind of like your origin story within this, the context of your city.
Sure. I mean, I think for the two of us, brother and sister, the origin story really starts with our mom. So our mom started in the business over 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. So she was trying to figure out something. She was working as a buyer for Burdines, which was like the Saks of the time down here. And with the two of us in school and our older sister, she was trying to find something that was flexible. And there was flexibility to drop the kids off at school, work, come back. Yeah. So she started in real estate. And this was 30 years ago, right here on Miami Beach on 41st Street. And when you're a new agent, you don't get an office. You get put in like the pit, right? So you don't even have a desk. So she's a brand new agent. She sits down next to a lady that's named Jill Lieber. Our mom's Jill Hertzberg. And they started doing some business together and they were sharing a desk. And all of a sudden people started saying, I don't know if it's Jill Hertzberg or Jill Lieber, it's one of those Jills. Yeah. And the name stuck. Yeah. And on a handshake, they started this beautiful partnership 30 years ago as the Jills. And we grew up in that world. And
we grew up going with our mom to showings. We would be going to open houses or brokers open, like picking us up from soccer practice. Oh, we're just going to stop at this house. I'm going to show it really fast. So we kind of like grew up really with it in our blood and just seeing it firsthand, kind of how our mom grew and how hard she worked and kind of.
And watching her build up this amazing business with her partner, and then the two of us went in different directions. So
because I was going to ask you, you always found that real estate was going to be your calling, or?
No, I didn't think so. I mean, it was always like maybe in the back of my head, but I finished undergrad, I went to law school at University of Miami. I was getting a master's in business and a law degree, and this is back in 2005. Yeah. And at that time, our mom and her business partner, Jill Lieber, as the Jills, had built up the #1 team in the city and the state, and they had a serious business. But I was starting to look at, social was emerging, the web was emerging. Mm-hmm. And I said to my mom and her partner, like, listen, you really need to like focus on your website. You need SEO, you need to do email marketing, you need to do digital branding. And they were like, we don't know what you're talking about, you do it. Mm-hmm. So after the summer of my first year of law school, I spent the whole summer working with the best web designers and SEO teams and email marketing to create that side of the brand. And that was the first time where I got this window into their world of how interesting it was and how much passion they had for it. And I found the passion in the business. Uh-huh. And fast forward a few years, before I finished law school, I got my real estate license. I started working in real estate. I took the bar and got sworn in. I'm an attorney. I never practiced. And I went full into it in 2009. Yeah. And that was like the beginning of coming into the business at a very challenging time because the market was crashing.
That's what it was.
In 2008 and 9, the market was crashing. Miami, after Las Vegas, was the worst city in the country.
Yes.
And people were saying, like, why don't you go practice law? It's more prestigious. It's a straight path. You know your salary. You're going to take so much risk. And our dad's an attorney, and our mom's in real estate. So it was kind of, but I saw the potential.
Yeah.
And I went into it. In the beginning was definitely a struggle. Started doing short sales and foreclosures for our team and all the leasing. And it was just a very difficult business climate environment then. But I knew the future had a lot of potential, and we were looking, and we needed some more young blood in the business, and that goes to Hillary. She was in New York, and you know, you can share. We were recruiting her aggressively.
Yes. How do you came to like believe that this was?
Yeah. So I went to Washington, St. Louis, and then I was working in New York City for a few years, and I was doing digital media and marketing, and I kept getting calls from my brother and my mom. Oh, well, you take a look at this, take a look at that, and then like. It went from being very subtle recruiting to not so subtle recruiting.
Yeah, it's like,
we need you to move back.
Yeah, move back. We need you right now.
And
here you are.
Here we are.
That's incredible. That really is. It's amazing. And then in the past few years, you expanded. You know that
our family grew.
Partnership. Yes, it grew. It really grew by including also the Zeters into the team.
Exactly.
So right now, as everybody knows, is the Jill Zeter. I forgot to mention this. These guys are very humble about this, but they are the #1 team in the world, which we will talk about that later in terms of kind of like business strategy. Sure. But how was that process of, because it's obviously, it was a family business, a very intimate family business. The Zeters had kind of like the same structure.
Mirror image. But
How did that come to be? And then to expand on that question, what do you think was kind of like the biggest challenge in terms of that merge of
Well, not about a challenge, but it's funny. It mirrored in so many different ways. I mean, Judy, the mother, and then Nathan was about Danny's age, and Kara, you know, about my age. We had a very similar dynamic, and it was kind of like we started doing more and more business with them, and it got to the point where it was like, why wouldn't we be merging? And kind of, they were the #1 in the South, and we, you know, Miami Beach, and so it was just kind of like a meeting of the minds.
Yeah, I think part of it, like for people that don't know, you know, we talk about it as family and names, but it's to have like our mom and then have a son and daughter that are both in the business. And then another family on the south side of Miami.
Exactly
it's a
the
mom,
same way,
a son, and a daughter in business together and flourishing and dominating the market. And so, you know, we started really seeing so many similarities, and also that we were close friends with them, and we trusted them and had confidence in them. And we were coming from a family business dynamic. So it was already our mom, brother, sister, our mom's business partner, Jill Lieber, and her sister, Felice. So there was a family team and a family dynamic, which, you know, family members, people say to us all the time, like, how do you make a family business work? It's so challenging. Like, I can't imagine working with my mom or uncle or brother.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, how does it really feel?
Right.
Because I think that there are a lot of, in real estate in particular, there are a lot of pairings in which you have like a parent
husband, wife,
and husband and wife,
mom, daughter.
Yeah, exactly, but not necessarily to the proportion that you guys have it, which is literally like entire families are in the business. How does that work? Because I think there are a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, I think one, it has to be a certain dynamic within a family to make it work. Because when people say, like, listen, I can never imagine working with my sister or my brother or my mom, it's just a different relationship they have. And there are like certain family dynamics that we're lucky to have that it does work well. Having said that, if we were like running a law firm, which I almost went that path, I don't think it would work. If the three of us were sitting in offices all day, sharing every case, working on everything together, I think we'd make each other crazy, because we already talk about real estate all the time. But in this business, it works really well because we're close, we have that trust and confidence, we have different skill sets, but also one of us might be meeting while the other one is showing, while the other one's holding down the office. So we're all working like at different things at the same time with the same mutual goal, but we're not on top of each other.
Yes. But I think it also works, and I give, you know, so much credit to Mom, is that she's so, like, if you don't evolve, you die. She's so, yes, let's try it, let's do it. There's never, I feel like a lot of the reasons when it doesn't work is because there's someone who's like,
this is the way we've always done it.
This is how it works, and she's so not like that. She's like, let's try it, let's go, let's.
And I feel like she's one of those people, and it's the same thing with, I've noticed with Judy Zeter and with Jill Eber, that there is not a single thing that they do not want to do.
Right.
So I love the story of your mom just last year knocking on doors. Like, come on, like, you were there and then, Jill Hertzberg,
She's
is knocking on your door, you open, like,
Yeah.
what is happening? I think that there is something really amazing about that I think has been passed along to you guys. Because you guys are willing, to do what
Whatever
needs to
it
be
takes.
done in
Yeah,
order to get the
absolutely.
business done, which explains your success.
Right.
I really do think it does.
And I think when you have a family that's also a team and a brand, everybody's invested in it.
Yeah.
And everybody is part of them. And that's why everybody wants to go above and beyond in every single way. The interactions with the clients, the marketing, the deals.
Yes.
So it's a different feel in that dynamic.
Yeah. And so do you feel that even though you are that second generation, that you have this real ownership on the partnership, on the business?
I do, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that actually
That's the only way it works.
works, and also the second generation of our family, we took the bull by the horns for the merger. As far as like the new logo, the branding, the new website, the new social media, that was more in line with our experience, my sister's experience, Nathan and Kara. So we really took the lead on that. So I think that, and then also you had, our mom and Judy and Jill bringing to the table years and years and years of experience. Yeah. And mergers are difficult. I think when partnerships come together, you have different looks and feels and different ways you do things. But we really looked at it as like, what are you doing great? What are we doing great? What can we do together better? And I think approaching it like strategically in that manner, everything's not perfect. You sometimes go one step forward and two steps back to figure out how everything looks and feels and functions. But it elevated both of our businesses.
Yes,
and we share,
absolutely.
And that's made a huge difference. So I think that, the commitment to just evolving and doing better is what drives all of us.
Yeah, but it feels like it's a culture of, like you're describing, it's a culture of change, is a culture of of doing things better every single day, right? Like there is about that evolution, is about that full involvement in what you are doing. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and we were talking about this notion that you could have as much strategy as you want in the world, but if you don't have culture, then nothing really is going to happen. Somebody told me years ago that in kind of like in a mentoring situation, because I was very worried about strategy in terms of development in my own team, my own business, and this person said to me, you know what, don't worry about strategy because culture eats strategy for breakfast. How do you describe the culture of your team, and how important has that been to not only the growth of you guys as a kind of like a family unit, but you have also other agents that are working within your team that are coming from different walks of life?
I think the culture kind of stems from really what it is. There's a lot of like family values. I feel like we all really do care about each other, and we want to help each other succeed. And I feel like you can kind of feel that in our meetings and in our conversations. It's like, what do you need? What are your buyer interests? Like, what do they, what do your clients need? So I think it's a lot of, I don't know, the family dynamic really does play out.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a driver in the culture. Even like while Hillary was speaking, I'm thinking about some of the language that we use. Like our mom will talk about our listings like they're her babies. Yeah. What she'll do for them and what you go to war for them, whatever it takes for them. And I think it's that feeling of like our clients are an extension of our family. Yes. And the people we work with become like family. And the brokers, we have close relationships like you're like family. Yeah. And I think that it made it much more natural and organic, that family dynamic, to have that. And it's not like we sit around a table and say, like, how do we come up with our culture?
No.
That
but
just
you're
evolves.
You're committed to making sure that it's happening, which I think it's a big difference.
Yeah.
I think that in my experience with real estate, we are lost sometimes on the logistics of the business.
And there's a lot of it. I mean,
yes, because there's a lot to happen, and there's a lot to worry about.
Right.
I think that a huge chunk of us worry about the next piece of business. There is a nature to that, right? Which I think is important. We have to be worrying about what's going to happen the next day. But I do think that the notion of culture gets lost, and I think is in my own experience, it's really such an important component of the growth of your business, because that's how your clients connect to you. That's how your clients learn to love you and appreciate what you're doing and really understand what you're doing. That notion of ethos, right?
Definitely. And we try to hire, when we're bringing people into the team, that they're fit It's not so much, we want people to be smart and driven and positive, but it's also, are you going to fit within our group and the way that we approach people and handle people? And I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I know it is. So now I'm going to change the topic a little bit because I know the two of you were born and raised in Miami. So you're, what is it, Miami Nights? What is it? Miami.
Locals.
Locals, yes. I'm trying to find Bostonian, Miami. And I've been coming to Miami now for like 30 years. Yeah. And I would say that I never seen Miami in a better place, at least in my experience. It's really spectacular. It really is. And it feels to me that it's a real shift in the city, and it's a long-term shift in the city and in the culture of the city. Do you feel that way as well?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Across all aspects. I feel like Miami as a city was growing and changing for years, but it expedited and kind of went to the next level. And I feel like even in like our restaurants and the culture and the museums, you see a huge growth.
It was like the perfect storm for Miami in terms of what happened from pre-pandemic to during the pandemic to post-pandemic. So we had, this was mostly a like second home market. A lot of the buyers were international. You had some people moving here full time, but most of it were second homes, vacation homes. And then with the change of the perception that you don't need to be like live where you work, we saw so many people moving from New York and from Chicago and California thinking that I can live anywhere I want and work wherever I want. You have great, beautiful, warm, winters here, and you don't have state income tax. And for a lot of people, that was enough to say that plus a city that has, as Hillary was mentioning, the like culinary and arts and culture growth, that it's become like from a small town to a big city in a very rapid period of time.
And what kind of challenges has that brought up, but to you in terms of your business? What kind of adaptation? Because I think it's different if you are doing, like you were describing, like second home market versus people that are now here.
They want, now people, when they're calling us, if we go pre-pandemic, now and then somebody was asking about schools and country clubs and office space. Now, almost every buyer is saying, like, starts conversation with school, where's the office going to be, doctors, country club, tutors, like that whole world of relocation has become a primary driver, where before it was international buyers and second homes. That wasn't the same dynamic. So I think that's been a big part of it. Traffic has been a challenge. We didn't used to have limited inventory has been tough. So convincing people to consider selling. What else? What other challenges do you see, Hill?
I think you nailed it.
But do you feel that in terms of your business proposition and your infrastructure that it pushed you to shift in significant ways, and if it
that's
did,
why you saw my mom knocking on the door.
Yes, totally. But in what ways do you think it shifted your operation as a business? I'm just curious.
I think we had to get a lot more efficient. We thought like initially that the idea would be to grow and to hire more people, because if you have more people, you can put more output, more people doing things. And then we realized that wasn't exactly the shift. You just need very high level people that can do a lot and be more efficient. And that includes us, our team, our administrative staff, our marketing team. So it's just kind of, we've had to shift. Also the seasonality used to be like, we were, a very busy winter market, and then it was like a very quiet summer market. And now all of a sudden we have a lot of families moving in the summer, for example. So it's become much more of a year-round city. And I think we've had to get expertise outside of just Miami. So now we know from, and that's a big part of the merger with the Zeter family, because they're south. So people moving here don't know if they want Miami Beach or they want Gables Estates. They don't know if they want north or south, and covering a larger area and having a high level understanding of the surrounding markets has been a big part of it. And the relationships with agents like you in Boston and our friends in Chicago and California and New York, all these different markets, has become even more important in the current market.
Yeah, and I find really interesting what you said about kind of like the depth of what you need to do, because I think that our business has changed in this direction of production being the primary driver, right? Companies are really looking at our production with a lot of attention, and I think that has pushed certainly the team model to a place that wasn't there even 5 years ago. But even moving, I'm starting to see more of this true mega teams, right? And it's like these teams that are gigantic with dozens and dozens of people, because it feels that that is the way to capture that production. But I think what you're saying is really interesting, because you guys are looking at it from a different perspective. You're looking at it like, how much better can we do what we are doing with the people that we have? So it's almost like a vertical, interpretation of that phenomenon, which is really interesting.
I think it's a really good point. Yeah, we see the models with teams across the country. Sometimes it's 100 people. They have 5 offices, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting area, but it's not our expertise we don't want to be like managing and running a huge team. We want to be focused on our clients. And we're in a very niche segment of the market that's ultra luxury, high end.
Yeah.
And it works better with a smaller group. And fortunately, we have, 8 family members, and we're able to cover a lot of territory that we all live from north to south.
Yes.
We have different expertise between condos and land and homes and different neighborhoods and communities.
Yeah.
That's been more of our strategy. But they both work. There's some incredible teams.
No, of course, the model, if it works, it works.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just more in terms of a trend. It seems to be that
I agree.
Aggregating more and more agents into a
Yeah, some teams have multiple offices, and it seems like a lot of
so
management.
I am doing it with New England, right? But I'm
But you keep it boutique too.
Yes, I am literally struggling with that, because it is 14 of us, and I'm like, 14 is more than enough. 14 is actually a lot of people in a team. And so as I'm listening to you, I'm like, okay, where do I need to make that adjustment to continue to provide that depth? Building that depth versus a span, right? In terms of what we are. Something that I also have noticed with you guys is that even though you're very, integrated as a unit, you tend to really have very distinctive businesses. Each person, you have your own spheres that you're working. It's not like one gigantic sphere. You all have kind of like your circles that interact in some ways. But am I right on that? First of all,
you're definitely right.
And is that a choice, or it just happened and then you discovered that was a
I think it's, a
good strategy.
I don't think, it wasn't like I think part of it is that we're all very different, but we have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
So when you have different people, different ages, different areas in the city, you have different spheres, you have different client base, different, buyers and sellers, different expertise. And it kind of naturally occurs in that way, that we each have our own books of business, but there's a lot of overlap. But I also think part of it comes from, our mom's mentality of like, she wasn't trying to build a family team that, and I can say the same for Judy and the same for Jill, that everybody was kind of like working under her, and that she wanted like support on her sphere. It was very much like, you're going to learn and help me, and I'm going to help you, but like create your own world.
Yes.
And I think from doing that and fostering that within our team, and we all have very distinct clients.
Yes.
And so it makes us stronger because they're so different. And that's part of like, the beauty that you can have when people work together, like your team, each of you are very different. Each of you have different client base. And I think we have that similarity that works really nice.
Yes. No, it is, as a strategy, I think it is an interesting decision to make, because I think sometimes those teams are structured
like a rainmaker.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Then
the rainmaker, like very, very top heavy. And I think that there is a lot of responsibility to that person that is at the top of that.
And it can work too.
Yes.
Look, we can't take credit. It wasn't like a strategic decision when I started in 2005 or Hillary came. That we were going to, each create like our own books of business. I think it just happened organically.
Yeah.
But if you asked any of us, like, are we relying on, your sister, your mom, your business partner for like your next listing or next deal? You're not, but you're collaborating on so much and working together and trying to, exceed expectations, break records, do things that helps the general team that generates business for everybody.
Yeah.
And we collaborate, we work together on so many things. Like we'll be working together. I'm working with the buyer yesterday that Nathan's also working with. We're working together.
Yeah.
And then Hillary and I have dozens of listings together that
we
we're working
also
together.
live across the street from each other. Our spheres
that helps.
Yeah.
It's very, and
I'm going to do that with Josh. I'm going to move Josh next to me.
So it's a mix.
Yeah. Oh no, that certainly makes a difference, I think.
When you were talking earlier about like goals and planning, it's the same kind of thing. It's not like we sat down and we said, okay, this was our number, we have to get to this. It's kind of like our goal is always just do better than the year before.
Yes.
Give better do more for your clients. Basically do more, do better.
Right.
That's our goal.
Because again, it's impressive what you guys do in terms of business, and certainly, the fact that you guys are the number one team in the world is not surprise. Knowing you and knowing how hard you work and how smart you guys are, you are.
We felt the same about you.
Well, you're the sweetest, but for real, it's I'm assuming that it's at some points does it feel like it's heavy, kind of like on your shoulder, to.
I never felt, me personally, and I think I could speak for the team, it's never felt like a pressure of like we need to sell these many homes, this many units, hit this dollar volume.
Yeah.
It's always, we have a competitive nature. Of course, it drives us. We have like a general sense of what we're selling that year versus the year before. We want to do better. And like, yes, we'll look at the list of, the top teams in the country, and like it keeps us, but it's not really the focus.
It's not a driver.
It's not the driver. It's really deal by deal, client by client.
Yeah.
We all kind of motivate each other. And I'm motivated to see Hillary working on a bunch of deals. That motivates me to the next one. That our mom, Jill, Nathan, like it's this kind of, everybody's doing their own thing, but they're kind of in sync at the same time. And we meet every week as a family, which is critical. And we go through all of our buyers and all of our listings, and we go through our marketing. So like, we're all out doing our own thing throughout the week, and then we come together every week, and we're on the phone with each other like 30 or 50 times a day. It's kind of crazy, but that communication level with each other and being in sync of knowing this deal is falling apart and this buyer like this and they should see that. It's like this puzzle we're constantly putting together.
Yeah.
And it takes a whole family to do that for us.
Yeah. It seems to me that, Tim Harrington always speaks about high effort. And it was a discovery for me in the past 12 months because I never identified myself as such. Like, I just did the things that I needed to do at the highest level possible because that's, to me, kind of like the nature of who I am. And it feels like you operate under that same principle of like everything, it's important, everything requires you full commitment, and I think it shows obviously on what you are doing. Am I describing that correctly, or how would you?
Yeah, I think that's why we get along so well. We're all very high effort, high energy.
I thought it was the tequila. Right?
Yeah. But yeah, just kind of it's our nature. Just like do more, do better.
It's that inner drive. Like something in real estate that we all know is that you don't have like, there's not a manager saying like, I need you to come in Tuesday and do this on Wednesday. You have to be a self-starter.
Yes.
That drive has to be inside of you.
Yeah.
Now it does help like when you're working with your family and close friends and colleagues that you can motivate each other. And there is something about like, the pack moves at a certain rate when they talk about like the dog sled team,
Yes.
They all move at a certain pace. Somebody sets the pace in a way, but it's the whole team moving together. And I think that's something that kind of, keeps us all moving in that right direction and staying that high energy, high effort, like you're saying.
I think also a big motivator is like our entire lives seeing the way that our mom works and
leads by
pushes
example.
herself. It's like I can't, if I'm starting to feel like tired or something, then I just think about her and it's like, okay, I'm good. Like,
she's been at this pace, at this commitment for decades now.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, like people ask us sometimes, like, oh, your mom's, dominated the industry. She's achieved all these goals. Like, is she starting to slow down? Is she taking a step back? Or like, slow down. We can't keep up with her.
Yeah, no, she's actually.
Like, she will outrun you. She'll outwork you. She'll out-negotiate you. She has unlimited energy, and so do you, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, you are an energizer bunny. You have
trying to make it
unlimited bandwidth and energy. It's remarkable. It's something really special.
Well, thank you for that. But something that I love about your approach to, and I know I need to get you here because he has an important appointment right now. Both of them have an important appointment.
For you, all the time you would need.
But it's something that I love about your approach, and I think gets sometimes lost in the shuffle, is how committed you are to the basics of the business. And I think it's something really really beautiful about it, in my opinion. Like this notion that this business is not built on all the fancy things.
Right.
And we could have as many Instagram accounts
Right.
and do as many videos as we
Right.
want, but really it's always going to be about those basics, about answering phone calls and shaking hands.
And relationships. I mean, I think that's honestly like
yes.
the pillar stone of everything.
Yeah. But I've heard your mom and Judy and Jill Ebert talked about that, all the time, and to me is such an important reminder.
Yeah, I think something that sticks with me is like in the first year I came to the business in 2009, my mom, one of the first days working, we worked pretty late, we had a lot going on that day, and she's like, look around the office. And this was an office that had, our team in one little area, but there was 150 different agents there. And she said, you see what you notice? And I didn't know what she was talking about. And she goes, there's like 3 or 4 people still here in different little offices. And she goes, guess who's the most successful people in this entire office? It's the 4 people you see right now.
Yeah.
And her message was like, you can be, as outgoing and brilliant and all these different things, but if you don't work hard, that's like the secret, but it's not a secret.
Yeah.
It takes really hard effort and focus year after year, day after day, week after week to be successful in this business. And to a degree, you can outwork most of your competition. So I think that's a big piece of the puzzle. And also, this is a tough business. We have, just like everybody, we have deals fall apart. We have challenging, buyer agent on the other side of the transaction.
Yes.
We have all sorts of different things.
Macro market elements. Yeah, it's all
exactly.
there.
There's all, and navigating those challenges are a big part of it. And then not just like being defeated and throwing in the towel and just picking it back up and finding the silver lining. Like this fell apart, but what if we could put this back together? And doing that in the team dynamic, I think, is a beautiful thing about a team, because it seems like in this business, being completely solo is a really difficult way to approach a challenging industry.
Yeah, no, it really is. I was solo. The team has been 7 years now, 8 years. Josh will tell you that it's more than that, but it's like 7 or 8 years. But I don't know how I did it for those 12 years, whatever it was, alone.
Right.
It was really, when you think about it, it's like, wow, my God, it's really impossible. So again, I need to get you out of here, but I have 2 more questions.
Sure.
The first one is, as you're looking at the business and the way that it's evolving and constantly changing, what do you think is kind of like that next generation of the business overall, of our industry? Where are we going? And I don't know if I'm making sense with this question.
Crystal
what
ball,
is the next
Hillary,
generation?
bring out the crystal ball.
Exactly.
Where are we going?
When you said next generation, I'm thinking, well, our kids, I guess.
I mean, one area, like the evolving, there's always a threat, there's always an opportunity. And I remember maybe it was like 10 years ago or so when we first everybody heard about Zillow. It was like, this is this threat, they're disruptors, they're technology, Redfin, tech, they're gonna disrupt the industry, and nobody's gonna need agents because you're gonna click, buy and sell, it's gonna be like eBay. But obviously, that didn't pan out. And the experts are needed in every transaction. I think the new thing that's coming is AI. And the impact it'll have on the industry, it's hard to say. Right now, where it really seems to be starting to stand out in real estate is in the marketing, writing copy, reports, administering the right marketing, optimizing sites, but it's going to go further and further and further. It's going to start really having advanced search and curation, and so that is an area that will be interesting to watch, and it could be some changes in some different ways. That's seems like the main thing on the horizon.
Yeah, I'm curious about what early adaptation needs to happen, for us, us in terms of how we approach the business.
Right.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I think that is going to be a big disruptor in terms of how we operate. Is going to affect how we operate. And so my last question is always the same to everybody who has the job of sitting in front of me. If you had to share with anybody your key to success, what would you describe it as? What is the key to success in your experience and in your opinion?
I think having grit, kind of like what we were talking about, just not getting knocked down, just get yourself back up, or have someone on your team help you get back up and just keep trying.
Keep at it.
Yeah, I think Hillary nailed that. I think key to success is the hard work, but it's also expertise. And I think that we as a team and as a family and individually work very hard, but we always really try to know our comps, know our market, know high-level marketing, trends, all these different things, because in this world, in this competitive real estate world, and many industries are becoming hyper and hyper competitive. If you can't add value, you will be replaced by
Yes.
either machines or other people who
Somebody
have
else,
more
yes.
value to add. So
Yeah.
I think the way to add value is the relationship, of course, the hard work, the effort, the follow-up, but you also have to have high-level expertise that you can add value to clients in different ways. And then if they see the value, that builds the loyalty and that creates the success.
That is perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you both for your
so
time.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you
was
for
so much
everything.
fun.
I really
Cheers.
appreciate it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. And salud, and thank you for watching.